Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another Webinar Wednesday. My name is Adam, and I am with Colorado COSIPA, your public sector partner, helping to put more information and services online. In today's webinar, we're going to be exploring the ins and outs of DocuSign. And before we get started, please note that during this webinar, you are muted. If you have any questions or you'd like to communicate with the presenters or myself at any point during the webinar, please use the chat box in the lower corner. We have time at the end of the webinar for Q&A, so send those in below as well as you think of them. Today we have DocuSign's account team, Nagashri Settler and Pearson Barry, as well as Senior Solutions Engineer Lebun Tay. I know we have a lot to go over in the next hour, so I will go ahead and let you take it away from here.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam, for making introductions. Great. All right. Good morning, everybody. And thank you all for taking the time to join us here today for this webinar. We are very excited to talk to you guys about how DocuSign has been able to help municipalities throughout the state of Colorado improve their remote productivity and adapt and overcome to some of the challenges that have been presented by COVID-19. And as Adam mentioned, on the DocuSign account team presenting today, we have myself. My name is Pearson Barry, and I'm also joined by my account executive, Nagashri Settler, and our solutions engineer, Lebun Tay. Nagashri and myself work directly with cities and counties throughout the state of Colorado, and we'll be your guys' best points of contact to get in touch with after this webinar if questions come up. And then our solutions engineer, Lebun Tay, will be demonstrating our eSignature platform towards the end of this webinar, and will be your best resource on this call for technical questions. Okay, before we get started here, I wanted to set a brief agenda for today's webinar. To kick things off, we will provide a brief overview of the DocuSign Agreement Cloud. We will discuss how we have helped other organizations in the public sector space adapt to working remotely and digitize paper-based processes through our eSignature platform. Lebun will then begin his demonstration of our eSignature platform, where he will present how to set up a DocuSign template, how to send an envelope, and what the signing process looks like from an end user. We'll wrap things up with a Q&A period, but if anyone has any questions for us along the way, please don't hesitate to stop and ask in chat in the chat box. Great. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Nagashri to discuss the DocuSign Agreement Cloud.
Awesome. Thank you, Pearson. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Nagashri Settler. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you, COSIPA, for having us. So yeah, let's get started. Every organization has a system of agreements where they have to prepare, sign, act, manage their entire paperwork to create that safe and secure record and audit trail. And over the past few months, we have uncovered and learned that several organizations within local government are still processing internal and external paperwork through emailing, printing, scanning, and faxing, as shown in these images, which we all know require a lot of manual work, labor, and handoffs. Because of this, cities and counties often lack the ability to really manage, control, and create that unique visibility into their documents, which will only result in a time-consuming, cumbersome process, delaying their entire system of agreements. And not to mention, this really puts their security and privacy in jeopardy as well. So DocuSign has been the leader in agreement technology and has really pioneered eSignatures for over a decade. And since the outbreak of the global pandemic that we are still in, we are still leading the way to further modernize system of agreements in remote working environments and helping the public sector sphere really to adapt, scale, and expand through what we call the DocuSign Agreement Cloud. With the DocuSign Agreement Cloud, we have developed our very own system of agreements where we can prepare, sign, act, and manage your entire workflow of paper documents under one umbrella. And as a result of this, we have seen 50% of agreements completed in less than 15 minutes and 80% completed in less than a day. So fantastic results. And now this is all made possible through our DocuSign eSignature platform. eSignature eliminates paper altogether and allows organizations like cities, counties, municipalities to streamline, automate, and track documents in a faster, greener, and more cost-effective way than ever before, and eventually scale organizations into even larger deployments. To highlight some of the more common features and capabilities, we have mobile and web applications to make it easy to upload and send documents for others to sign through what we call responsive signing. We have bulk send options that standardizes sending an agreement to numerous recipients at once to really save substantial time and money on the transactions that you foresee for your subscription. We also have self-service applications through what we call PowerForms, which enable signers to complete the forms themselves, which will then allow us to capture the data from third-party audiences that you normally wouldn't reach out to. And then we also have other types of more advanced features like advanced workflows, conditional routing, single sign-on, admin capabilities, just to really ensure agreements are receiving the necessary signatures from predefined signing groups. If any of these features do resonate well with you, please reach out to our team in case you'd like to discuss how we can better cater to your business needs.
All right, moving into key priorities for local government. Again, our core mission here at DocuSign is to really provide your teams with the most value and durability to get the most out of your investment in eSignature. With that being said, we've established these 4 key priorities with local government that have been the most important to our customers when evaluating an eSignature vendor. First of all, having an efficient and easy implementation, right? So overall, DocuSign has a very positive user experience, very simple, easy to use platform to deploy and implement. Doing business more effectively, right? So essentially streamlining and automating the entire core business processes to reduce turnaround time. Enforcing compliance, visibility, and security. DocuSign allows you to have full visibility into your workflows from at any point in the document lifecycle, from when it started to in between or when it's completed and it's stored in the repository. DocuSign also has the highest level of security for a software of our nature. We are FedRAMP moderate, as well as being HIPAA, FERPA, and COPA compliant. And then lastly, our ability to integrate with existing apps and processes. We have over 400 pre-built integrations into different kinds of software in the market, and I think is one of the biggest differentiators from us and other vendors in the space. But if there's an integration that we don't have a pre-built integration built out to, we have APIs and SDKs to leverage at your discretion to customly build out that integration. Okay, so now that we've touched on the Agreement Cloud key priorities, we wanted to showcase some common use cases that we see within the public sector. As you can see by this extensive list, the possibilities are really endless in terms of how you can use DocuSign. Over the past few months of COVID, I would say the most common use cases that we typically see start with the HR department, procurement, administration, constituent citizen-facing forms like permits and applications, and then recently a big surge in the use for municipal courts with remote hearings and legal departments. Regardless of the size of your organization, DocuSign has made it accessible and advantageous for local governments to expand into other departments with our Agreement Cloud.
So DocuSign really takes pride and owes our proven approach to success to our world-class customer success team, who's really dedicated to delivering consistent support, strategic advisory, adoption, and implementation services to all cities and counties. As Pearson mentioned, we have a few use cases, an extensive list of use cases, and as the agreement experts, our customer success team is really here every step of the way, offering prescriptive guidance, expertise, and the right level of service based on those use cases listed. Some of these services will include self-paced training, guided assistance, and hosted virtual learning sessions with our adoption team to help admins implement our software seamlessly and effectively deploy DocuSign to your use cases, whether you have one or you have multiple. We are here every step of the way. Our methodology to an easy deployment directly equals your customer success. And we are here to ensure that government organizations who are newer to eSignature or implementing software are successful with our platform, not only now, but in the next few years of partnership as well. The past year has been transformative for businesses and government entities, to say the least, but it is DocuSign's responsibility to continuously adapt to these changes and pave the way for digital and electronic exchanges for local government. As you are considering investing your time and efforts into eSignature, it's important to remember why and how DocuSign continues to lead with first-to-market innovative features, functionalities, capabilities that drive that competitive advantage for local cities, counties, and municipalities. DocuSign has made a global name for themselves as the category, platform, and ecosystem leader in the electronic signature space, and this is what truly differentiates us. As you can see, the public sector really trusts DocuSign for all of their remote and digital paper processing, as we have helped more than 500,000 organizations, including 1,500 federal, city, county, and municipal organizations in all 50 states work better remotely by modernizing their forms, signatures, and agreement processing. This slide shows a few current customers in Colorado who have deployed DocuSign for various use cases, specifically in procurement, IT, utility, warehouse, accounts payable, and a few other departments. And to reiterate from before, we have seen 50% of agreements completed in less than 15 minutes and 80% completed in less than a day. So fantastic, fantastic results. All right, so with that said, we can stop here, pause for any questions that the audience may have. But if not, we can then hand it over to our solutions engineer, Lei Boone, to begin our eSignature demo. So I will pause for any questions. Perfect. So if with that said, we can go ahead and start the eSignature demo. And like Pearson said, Lei Boone will be presenting how to send envelopes, how to create templates, and the signing experience from the user's end, and how we are still legally binding and verify our signers through our eSignature platform. So without further ado, I will go ahead and stop sharing my screen and hand it over to Lei Boone.
All right, thanks, Nagasri. So let me share my screen. Give me 1 sec. And first of all, thank you all for filling in the polls. I know we just finished a presidential election here in the United States. You probably have answered many polls, and here we are asking you to answer additional ones. So my thanks for filling in those information because it really helped us guide our demonstration today. Now, what's significant in the poll that I saw from your answers today is that over 90% of you mentioned that the ease of use of the electronic signature platform is extremely important for you, and that is what I'm going to be showing you today: the ease of use of the solution. And another interesting thing about your answer today, and which should not be any surprise, and that is nobody, 0%, none of you has answered that the need for e-signature has decreased. So there it is, right? The need has not decreased, and you want a solution that is very easy to use, very easy to deploy, and that is what I'm going to show you today. All right, so what you're seeing on the screen right now is a DocuSign web console, and that is the nature of our products and service. It is a web service. You access it using your browser, and any piece of electronic that you can connect to the internet and has a browser on it, you should be able to use with DocuSign. All right. Now, let me show you how you would create something we call a template. Now, templates are frequently used documents in your organization, right? So typically, as a public sector organizations, you have forms of the forms, tons and tons of those. And rather than having to print them and then mail them off, in a piece of paper every single time you want to use those, what you can do is you can transform them very easily into DocuSign templates. So let me walk you through one of them. All right. So when you log on as a subscriber, and if you have the privilege to create and manage templates, you will see this particular tab here, right? So go into the templates tab, and then what you can do is you can click new and select this option, create a template. So select this option, go into the template creation screen, give your template a nice name. So for today's demonstration, I'm just going to say COSIPA demo templates. Okay. Now, for the document that you wish to use in the template itself, you should just grab whatever electronic form that you have today. It can be PDF, Word, Excel, and for those of you who is on the on the fringe of digital creativity, maybe even a picture and a PowerPoint slides. If you for whatever reason decides to create your forms as a PowerPoint, you can use those with DocuSign. So upload, that will bring your form into the DocuSign templates. Now, the nice thing about importing a form in DocuSign is that if you have a PDF that has existing form fields, we can import those so that you don't have to redo all the work that you have already done in a PDF document. But if not, we can very easily help you create those fields as well. So you can see PDF is definitely supported. So it's Microsoft Word, Excel spreadsheets, and as I mentioned earlier, PowerPoints and pictures. So for today's demonstration, I'm going to use this form, which does not have any fields in it. Open, and it goes into my template. Now, the templates can contain more documents if you want. So let's say that you are someone working in HR and you will also like to include a form that has the I-9s and the employee's direct deposit form, what have you. You can upload all of those into your template as well, creating a packet, right? For today's demonstration, let's stay with just one form. All right, so let's go further down. The next thing that you do on this form is to then tell DocuSign what kind of workflow you would like to have with your form. It's very simple. All you have to do is to define the role, meaning the individual, what is their role associated with the form itself. So this is an address request form. The first person who's going to be dealing with the form filling is going to be an applicant. So I'm going to type in the name applicant. I'm going to leave the name and email blank because this information is only filled in at the point of signing, right? So I can add a second recipient. Let's say that in your organization, there is a approving officer that process incoming application forms. You can give it a role name, approving officer. And if you know who that is, you can enter their name and their email. So let's make myself the approving officer. So put in my name and my email here, right? You can also do some customization, which is nice in the sense that you can protect certain part of the workflow so that it cannot be edited or removed from the workflow. Now, on the electronic platform, the sequence of delivery is flexible, right? Because you are no longer tied to a physical piece of paper, we allow you to do what we call concurrent delivery, which is what you see on the screen right now. This is a concurrent delivery, which is not very useful in this particular case because we want the applicant to fill in the form first, then it comes to me as the approving officer. So in order to implement that sequential kind of workflow, what you can do is you check this checkbox, and now you have this number to help guide the sequence of signing, right? One means the applicant sign first, right? And then two, it will come to me and I will sign second. And that's how you would create a workflow for your DocuSign templates. Now, the next thing that you do in this section here is to set up the email notifications. There are multiple ways to use a DocuSign template. Sometimes you can, create a fresh envelope out of the templates and then send it to the user directly. In that case, it will utilize this email configuration that you set. So, for example, form 3024, and what I can do is I can also insert the applicant's name directly in the email subject. Basically makes it a little bit easier to find certain emails from DocuSign later on, right? And the next thing you do here is to give it a simple message, please DocuSign, or what have you. Maybe certain instructions that you would like to provide for the applicant, you can definitely put those here. Okay. I want to show you one more options before we move on into the next screen, and it is a very popular feature in DocuSign, and that is the automatic reminder. Very useful because you turn this on and you no longer have to chase paperwork manually, right? No more calling your colleagues at 9 in the morning and yell at them because they have been, you know, very lazy and are not very thoughtful about returning the documents you send them for signatures. You turn this on, you leave the reminder and the nagging to the electronic platform, DocuSign. Very nice this way. And we also allow you to configure the reminder using two separate settings, right? The first one basically tells DocuSign, all right, how many days to wait before we start sending out reminders? Maybe you want to be patient, right? You set it to 3 days. So it's good, send them something and then give them 3 days to look it over, consider it, and then they sign. The second parameters tells DocuSign, all right, once the first reminder has been delivered, how frequent should subsequent ones be? Usually people would set it to 1 day because things will start becoming urgent. So you want a more frequent reminder. So it's very flexible this way. You can define the kind of a reminder sequence and frequency you want. Okay. So let's go ahead and click save and let's move on into the next screen. Now, this next screen is where you tell DocuSign who should be doing what, right? The applicant should be filling in certain fields and the approving officer should be putting in a file number, clicking on approve buttons, etc. And let me show you how easy it is to do so with DocuSign. So what you want to do is, first of all, let's define all the data fields that I want to capture from the applicant. So to do that, first of all, you make sure that the applicant's name is highlighted right now on the upper left-hand corner. You can switch between the applicant and myself, the approving officer, via the drop-down menu. For now, I select the applicant, and let's say I want to capture the address, right? There is a street number here. So what I do is I drag over a text box, put it here like this, and I can put in a data label and call this street number like this, and then street name, right? Again, drag and drop across like this, and I can again label this as street name. And let's say that there is a zip code. So very quickly drag over another text box, and that is basically how you would indicate on your form itself, where all the data fields should be captured. And in this case, this is zip code. Now, as you know, US zip code has a fixed format. So for certain data types that has a fixed format, you can also perform what we call data validation, and which is basically a feature by DocuSign to prevent mistakes made by the user, right? So to do that, you would select under validation, pull down the drop-down menu and select zip. So that way, they have to enter 5 digits, which is the standard US zip code. But so if they start entering, characters like ABC, etc., it's not going to allow them to complete the document itself, right? And finally, there is a name here, right? So let's go ahead and put the name. So certain data fields such as name, they are pre-built tags, and you can just drag and drop. Same with email, you can drag and drop as well. Now, some of the data fields that you capture, right? This is one of them. It says applicant is check one. Now, I understand that many of you would have forms that look something like this, but when you are transitioning to a electronic platform, it is important to know that there is a difference between what is a checkbox and what is a radio buttons, right? DocuSign offers both options. You can see checkbox and radio buttons. In the event that you only want one of these options to be selected, you should not be selecting checkbox, because checkboxes usually allow you to select multiple choices. So what you would want to do is to do radio buttons instead, right? So line them up nicely like this in a group. So this is a radio button group, and which means that the applicant can only select one of this. They cannot select multiple ones, and that will prevent them from making a mistake, right? So do this, and let's go further down. So sometimes you will also have an area like this that basically asks them, hey, enter your descriptions or what have you, which is pretty big. The text box that you overlay on top like this, you can also expand it, give them more space, right? Now, in case that you don't really need a description, let's assume that this is optional. You can also make this optional. So on the right-hand side, you can uncheck this particular checkbox, and now entering a description is an optional item. All right. And now there is a signature tab that should go here, so I can do this. And this is another thing to watch out for when you are designing forms with DocuSign for your organization. Very frequently, we find that forms are designed back in the 1980s or earlier, and they frequently have the user type in today's date on a computer. So newsflash, this is year 2020. Every piece of electronic that you connect to the internet has a clock on it, right? So the computer or the electronic should be telling you what is today's date, not the other way around. No human should be telling a computer what day is today. So if you see something like this, drag and drop the date sign tag and automatically fill in today's date for you. All right. Now let's go further up here. And what I want to do here is I want to have this form, issued a file number when it goes to the approving officer. So to do that, what I do is I pull down the drop down menu. I'm the approving officer for this form. So I select myself. And you notice that when I do this, the color of the control, it changes. The color coding is a visual design aid. Helps you see who is doing what when you're designing the form. So now what I have to do is to drag over a text box, put it here, right? I can label this, let's call this file number. And in this case, I do not sign on the form. However, I need to approve it. So in situations like this, you can also make use of this special buttons, approve, decline. I can put a button here for me to approve, another button here for me to decline. These are special buttons. They will only appear to me as the approving officer. It will not appear to the applicant. All right. So that's all I want to do with this form. Let's assume that this is all the fields that there is that I want to capture. So what I want to do is I want to save and close. And now what I have in my DocuSign account is a template, right? Let's talk about how to use the templates next. There are multiple ways you can use a DocuSign template. I'm going to walk you through a couple of those. Method number one would be, let's say that you have, a member of the public, a resident in your county or in your city, calling your department and asking you, hey, which form should I need? Can you send me one? With DocuSign, good news, you can say yes. So let me get your name and your email, and I'm going to send you a form. So what you do is you log on into your DocuSign account, go to templates, and select the form you wish to send, right? You select use. When you do that, what DocuSign would do is we will create a fresh envelope out of the template itself. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with DocuSign, and this is how DocuSign works, right? DocuSign works by packaging documents you wish to send out into a data unit we call envelopes. So you would create an envelope out of the templates, and then you would send it off. And that is how the accounting for your DocuSign subscription works as well. You purchase a number of envelopes to send off, right? So in this case, I'm going to say, all right, so the person who is going to be filling in the form goes by the name Jenny. I'm going to put in her name and her email. And now all I have to do is to click send, and Jenny will receive an envelope with the form in it, right? So I'm going to switch gear and play the role of Jenny, the person who's going to be filling in the form. She's going to see an email like this. She click on it, and she can click on this link, review document, bring up the envelope itself, and she clicks continue. And now she can rely on this navigator button to fill in the form. So she can go 1, 2, 3, maybe Main Street. Now here's what I want to do, right? Let's purposely make a mistake here. A123. This is obviously not a US zip code. And let's assume that she did not realize a mistake is made. She goes ahead and fill in the rest of the information like this, right? Text box, not a problem. And then she goes ahead and click to sign. When she clicks to sign, we will present to her a signature adoption screen, right? We'll offer 3 methods of signing. The first one is select style, which is automatically generated graphics, and she can change the style. We do offer a variety of simulated cursive handwriting. She can pick one that she likes best. Also great for people with terrible handwriting. At least now they can pretend the handwriting looks pretty good. Now, if she's old school and she prefers to scribble her signature, definitely support that, draw method, and she can scribble. And if she has a picture of her signature, most people don't, but some people do, right? She can also upload a graphics if she wants. Now, this is where I also want you to be aware that these 3 methods can be turned on or off by you depending on your choice. I have some customers who turn off both the select style and the upload, and they only present the draw method. They do this because they know that they are going to be dealing with less technically savvy recipients of their envelopes. And if they offer 3 methods, there's a chance that they may get overwhelmed, right? So to prevent them from calling the district and asking, all right, what are these 3 choices? Which one should I pick? They just default to draw only, and that way they just scribble and sign their signature on it. So once, let's say that this is the method that Jenny prefers, she scribbles, adopt, and sign, right? Notice how the navigator button pushes itself up back to the zip code, basically reminding her that, hey, there's an error here. You need to fix this before you can complete. And it will not allow Jenny to complete the form. If she tries to click finish, it's not going to let her. So she needs to correct the mistake, right? And once she's done, she clicks finish. And now the form goes to the second stage of the workflow, which is to come to me as the approving officer. Okay. Now, as an approving officer, I have a couple of choices. And because I have a DocuSign account, what I can do is, instead of going to my email and seeing that notification, what I can do is I can log on to my account using my browser or an app on my mobile device, right? And let's say that this is a browser I prefer. What I can do is I can click on this link. It's going to bring up a series of envelopes that are waiting for my attention. So I can see here that this is a form 302 from Jenny. So I can just click sign, bring it up directly. And you can see that this is the form that has been submitted by Jenny with all her information in here. I can give it a file number and click approve to approve her applications. Now, once I've done this, if I have additional forms that I need to approve or documents I need to sign off, because I am an account holder, DocuSign will automatically prompt and ask me, hey, do you want to sign the next one? It's a convenient feature. I can just click sign and keep going until I'm done for the day. Or I can say no thanks and come back to it later on. Very convenient for account holders because now I don't have to constantly switch between my email and DocuSign, right? I can just go to DocuSign directly, boom, 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 sign everything in one go, and then I'm done. All right. Now, once I have approved the document, this is what Jenny will see, right? She's going to receive an email to let her know that the document is completed. She can click on that, email, click view completed document, connect securely to DocuSign, and she can download a copy of the completed form for her own record. All right, so this is one method of utilizing a template. Now, what I want to show you next is how you can publish this template as a form on your website with just a couple of clicks. It's very easy. Let me show you how that works, right? And this is something that we do very well, and that is to make things very easy for you to do and manipulate. So let's go back into the template itself, and let's say that rather than having an account holder send the form directly and manually to the user, you would prefer to publish this form on your website. To do that, it's very simple. Pull down the menu more, and you tell DocuSign you would like to designate this template as something DocuSign refer to as a power form. It's a feature. You click Create Power Form, and you click Create. When you do this, DocuSign will assign a unique URL or web link. So now all you have to do is to stick this link on your website, and when any of the applicant clicks on that link, the form will start immediately, right? So let's show you how this works. I'm going to copy this URL, and I'm going to launch a new browser window and simulate somebody clicking on that link, right? So somebody clicks on that link, and you can see that when that happens, DocuSign will prompt them for their their name and their email. So they put in their name and their email like this, basically indicating who they are. And when they click begin signing, it will bring them into the Power Form. In this case, I have also enabled a email validation system, which is to prevent somebody from giving a fake email address. This is one of the security mechanism that you do have, and in this case, I can see that this is the signing code, which I'm going to punch in, which is 84869A6A. All right, so validate, basically proving that yes, the email that I punch in does belong to me. I'm not faking this and try to submit a form for my colleague, and I try to spam him by signing up for things that he didn't want to sign up for, which can be hilarious if you manage to pull it off. But obviously, you can't do that with DocuSign, as you see here, right? So continue, and you can see this is the same form that you saw earlier. Jenny can go in and fill in this form and basically do the same thing as you have seen during the first demonstration, but this time accessing it via a URL using our PowerForm feature, making this a self-service mechanism. All right. Okay, so that's all the demonstration that I have planned for you all today. And let me hand it back to the panelists for the next stage of this today's webinar.
Thank you, Leboon. Any questions so far from the audience based off of what they just saw?
It did look like we had a couple of questions file in. The first one that I see here is, are there any limits on the number of templates that we can create or the number of recipients on a specific document?
There is no limit to the number of templates that you can create in your account. The number of recipients for each individual envelope, yes, there is a limit. It's something of a very large number, something like 137 recipients for a single envelope. Nobody has ever reached that limit, by the way. So it's usually more than enough. Now, I also understand that some people ask that question because they're thinking about another way to use DocuSign, and that is to basically broadcast documents out to, let's say, all the employees in the organization, maybe a policy document. So if you have those kinds of use cases, what you can do is you can utilize another feature in DocuSign called bulk send. If you have that requirement, bulk send will allow you to distribute the same kind of envelopes to every single employee. They will each receive their own individual envelope, and they can each individually sign off on their own copy.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Leboon. I've got another one here from Claire. How are accounts structured? Do you sign up for a certain number of account holders who can create templates for the organization?
The structure of your subscription plan is largely based on your own preference, right? So accounts in DocuSign have different privileges that you can assign. First of all, you have your administrators that have access to everything, and then you can also create user accounts that are, you know, templates designer, people who can log in and then create and you know, distribute templates. And you can also create accounts for your organizations that can only sign and send documents, and even accounts that can only sign but cannot send out any envelopes. So it depends on your preference. Our onboarding specialist will work with you and show you how to create those accounts.
All right. And how does notarization work with eSignatures?
There are two types of e-signatures, you know, within the DocuSign offering. The first electronic signature mechanism basically is simulating exactly what the existing face-to-face based electronic notarization works with. You know, works in the real world, whereby you appear in front of the e-notary and then you sign in front of the notary, but we replace the paper with the electronic you know, DocuSign envelope. That's the second one in the works that's going to be released sometime in the March timeframe next year, and that is allowing completely remote e-notarization. We purchased this, you know, company based in Texas called Live Oak Technologies that will allow you to do a video conferencing like what we do today. We're using Zoom, but that is using Live Oaks, and you'll be able to do your notarization completely remotely.
Thank you. What kind of software integration is available? Can this be synced with Salesforce or other programs that our organization is using?
Yes, Salesforce is one of our strongest integration partner, and we have a wide variety of integrations modules that you can plug into the into the Salesforce infrastructure. We call those connectors, and it can range from, you know, connectors that works with our e-signature platforms, or even works with our contract lifecycle management solutions, etc. There are multiple ones. If you go into Salesforce App Exchange and you type in DocuSign, you see a variety of you know, apps that you can deploy. We also have integrations with all the major players, you know, the typical ones: Microsoft, Oracle's, and Google, etc. All those are available via either our partners or via DocuSign directly.
Excellent. And how long are documents stored on DocuSign servers?
As long as your subscription is valid, we will store your documents, which, by the way, are also duplicated and backed up. So every piece of documents you upload will make, you know, 3 copies in each data centers. We have 3 data centers, and they're replicated across all 3. So there's, you know, no danger of you losing that document, or you know, having it corrupted on one data center and losing it completely. But as long as your subscription is valid, we will store your documents. And once you, let's say, decide not to continue your DocuSign subscriptions, you will have up to 90 days to download to your own local storage.
All right. Any more questions, anyone?
Hey guys, this is Nagashri again. I have gotten a lot of questions from my customers, or when I'm having initial conversations with potential customers, asking about volume size and how would I know if I'm using the correct volume size, or if I need to add on more envelopes down the line. That is where the account team really comes into play, including myself, Pearson, as well as your dedicated renewal manager. We make up your account team to really monitor and track your usage with DocuSign and your subscription and your current envelope usage. If we see that you are over trending in envelopes, or if we see that you aren't using your envelopes as much, we will periodically set up account review calls to figure out what's going on and strategize with you every step of the way. We won't just implement and just let you go. We will keep track and kind of have those temperature checks with you. And if you do need to add on more envelopes within months into your subscription, all you need to do is set up a call with us, or we will reach out as well, and we will figure out where else we would need to deploy DocuSign for, or if we need to add X amount of envelopes to your current volume size.
All right, excellent. Thanks, Nagashri. And thank you for that demonstration. I actually learned a lot in that as well, and I've been using DocuSign for a bit. I'm definitely going to be taking advantage of those reminder features. But it looks like we've finished up all of our questions. If you find that you have more questions after we part, please don't hesitate to contact COSIPA or DocuSign. We're more than willing to help with any needs that you have. If you want to return to this webinar to view it again later or share it with a colleague, please keep a lookout for the post-webinar email. We'll have a link in there to the video on COSIPA's YouTube channel, and you can also see our previous webinar Wednesdays there as well. So additionally, I really want to make these webinars as relevant and informational as possible. So it would be appreciated if you could just take a minute and fill out the survey following this webinar. It's short, and hopefully it'll keep COSIPA on track with being able to provide you with the information that you're most interested in learning about. So to close, thank you all for joining us this morning. A huge thank you to Nagashri and Pearson and Leboon for the very informational demonstration today. Thank you for joining, and we will catch you all at our next webinar Wednesday.
Thank you for having us. Have a wonderful day, everyone.